to ask Larry about the JD Vance Netanyahu guarantee. So maybe you could take it there and tell us about that and other things.
Did he talk about the Saudis and what they did to help push the peace process along?
The $12 billion guarantee that if the Americans don't unfreeze $12 billion, the Saudis will do it with the Qataris.
Right. Yeah. So he told you that?
He did. Yeah, that's where I got it from.
Yeah, and that Qatar matched the Saudi guarantees. So that's why Iran's listening to Trump and JD Vance mouth. Oh, they're going to have to buy our stuff and all. They don't care because they've got it in the bag. So, but JD Vance reportedly gave the Pakistanis the assurance, and they in turn related to the Iranians, because remember, there were no direct meetings between Iran and the United States, and he gave his personal guarantee. We're gonna restrain Netanyahu, tie him down if we have to. So that.
And this is one of your sources that you guys were speaking to. That was
right. It's clearly it's out of the folks of the Pakistani delegation were aware of this. That Vance has very good chemistry with General Munir and with Prime Minister Sharif. Right, but general. He's a general, right? Yeah. Sharif is a much less imposing presence, but Vance gets along with them well, and so
he gave the guarantees. He gave the guarantees to Asim Munir about the restraining Israel. Is that to the Pakistanis?
Yeah, right. Because otherwise, if he had been talking directly to Iran, he could have, but they didn't. Iran and the U.S. didn't have direct talks.
Is that because of Trump's tweets, or what led to them not having direct talks?
Well, they've never had direct talks. They
didn't have it in Pakistan at all. I thought they met briefly in Pakistan.
No, not together. They're still just separate rooms doing it differently. So, and this goes all the way back to last year, when it was Oman. Oman would be in one room. They'd walk in, hear what the Americans had to say. They'd walk over and tell the Iranians what the Americans had to say. Then the Iranians would tell him what to tell Americans. And, these guys in the middle, whether it's the Omani foreign minister, whether it's General Munir, they're getting their exercise. It's part of they say, forget the gym. I don't have to go to the gym today. I've been doing the back and forth shuffle between the two delegations.
I don't know why. I think in Pakistan they met briefly. In the beginning, they were not meeting directly, and then later on they met briefly directly. But I don't know if it included the senior members like Vance and Arachi.
Yeah,
but
to my knowledge, the senior people have never met, and that's one of the problems. If you get them in the same room, start talking, and you get to interact with each other as human beings, that'll help expedite the process.
During the negotiations, the pre-war negotiations, I'm confident there. In Pakistan, I'm not sure. I have a strong feeling they did talk directly. But I do know after the 2026 war, it's either zero or little, as you said, zero in Pakistan. But in Iran, I heard that it's been publicized as well. I just wasn't sure why and whether it was Trump's posts. Actually, I'll ask you the question again. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the Iranis just don't want to meet the Americans? They didn't want the photo shoot. It's more for political considerations domestically?
Well, I'm not sure it's the Iranian call. And maybe the United States doesn't want to meet directly with them. I'm not sure who's the one that has the request we don't want to meet directly, or under no circumstance.
I think it's the Iranians. Remember when there's the photo shoot, JD Vance was there ready for it. The Iranians said no, because the Iranians can't shake hands with the people that just killed their supreme leader and bombed their country. I think for them, if someone beats the shit out of you and kills your family, you're the one that wouldn't want to meet them. They'd be the one that's more remorseful. So I think the Americans would want it more. Even politically, it would be good for JD Vance to be the one that can bring the countries together.
That's a reasonable argument. But I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was because of such as, I don't know. Because I'm not sure who did what to whom as far as the talks go. But you make a very compelling argument that It may be the Iranians who don't want to meet face to face. So and at some point, maybe they'll adjust that.
Regarding the JD Vance offering the guarantees to the Pakistanis, a question with two parts. Did your source tell you anything about what type of guarantees, or did they expand on it? And the second part of the question is, if I asked you to speculate, what would you speculate as well? How would JD Vance be able to guarantee that?
They did not. They did not specify the particular pressure points or for the restraints that would put on Netanyahu, but I think it goes back to the telling Netanyahu that we're going to withdraw our air defense systems, the Patriot, the THAAD, which you Netanyahu relied on heavily during the last exchange of ballistic missiles with Iran. We're gonna withdraw all of our air assets from the region, so you won't have anything to rely on. It would be at least 2 weeks to a month away from responding if you get into trouble. We can put a hold on certain aid that's supposed to be delivered to you, but it's going to get slowed up in the process. So this is, the U.S. they have clear leverage on the supplies that are supplied to Israel. And I think that's the main reason why you've seen Israel. They have largely complied with this ceasefire. They've stopped the aerial bombings, and the two sides are not shooting at each other with great intensity. So far, so good.
Yeah, I remember we talked about it yesterday about what type of pressures the Americans could impose on the Israelis. Since we're talking about the negotiations, there were three pretty, I would say big developments, but three interesting developments when it comes to the negotiations that happened in the last 48 hours. The first one is the Americans claim that the $6 billion that's released to the Iranians can only be used to buy U.S. agricultural products. The Iranians, the foreign ministry immediately said this is not true and we could buy whatever we want. It's our money. So that was the first one. The second one, Iran, the Americans claimed, Trump claimed it multiple times, and Vance said it, that the Iranians agreed to accept the return of IAEA inspectors. We spoke about that yesterday, and he said, no way. The foreign ministry spokesperson rejected this and also said the inspectors won't return to Iran unless there is a final agreement. That's what the foreign ministry said. And then claim number three is, that was a weird one. I saw reports, I don't know where they originated from, that the Pakistanis said that the Iranians are open to talk about their ballistic missile program at a future date. Very quickly, the Iranians said, no, this is not true. That's by Fars News, and Tasnim denied it. And then afterwards, a bit bizarre, the Pakistani prime minister came and said, no, that's not true. And he started justifying their ballistic missile program. There are many countries, that's what the Shehbaz Sharif, the Pakistani prime minister, what he said, there are many countries around the globe that stockpile ballistic missiles, so I object to Iran's missiles. This would amount to controversy, which would generate unnecessary delays, doubt, and raise unnecessary question marks. And then President Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, starts talking about, he says, if we did not have our missiles, which are for self-defense, Israel and America would have plowed through Iran the way Gaza was plowed through, and they would have shown no mercy to the old or the young. It's a valid point. That's one of the deterrents. That's the reason they were able to, one of the reasons they were able to win. They speak of human rights, etc. So the three issues that happened in the negotiations were $6 billion. America's like, it's only for U.S. agricultural products. Iranians are like, shut the hell up. It's for anything. Number two, IAEA, America said they're coming. Iran said, nope, maybe later when the deal is done. And three, reports that the ballistic missile program is on the table. And the Iranians and the Pakistanis are like, nope, it is not.
Yeah, well, Iran is never going to put its ballistic missile program on the table. That is its, let's call it, that's its ultimate protection. That is its ultimate trump card, because they're underground, they're untouchable. They were built to withstand a nuclear blast. So they're going to give that up. That's like being told to, you live in a dangerous neighborhood where there are gunfights all the time, and you're told to give up your gun. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Trump and Vance, what they're saying about the money, they're going to say whatever they need to the American electorate to convince them how that, oh, we're winning, Iran is losing, and they're on their heels. And I may have used this with you before, but it was there was a movie with Tom Selleck where he played Dwight D. Eisenhower, and they're prepping for D-Day, the invasion of Europe, and he had to call General George S. Patton to headquarters to chew him out for something that Patton had a tough time controlling his mouth. And so when Patton gets into the office, Selleck, rips him up one side, down the other, to the point that the actor playing Patton is on his knees begging, please don't send me home. Please let me stay and fight, begging, weak. And then when Patton gets back down to his car with his aide, he goes, oh, I played him like a fiddle. He was eating out of my hand. Okay. So the reality was, the JD Vance, Donald Trump with the Iranians are, please, we need this deal. If we don't get this open, the economy's going to crash. And then out in public, yeah, man, we got those Iranians on a short leash. They're going to do what we tell them. Yeah, $6 billion, they're not going to see a dime of it. We're going to control it all. Now, we know that the Saudis and Qataris said, don't worry about those crazy Americans. We got your back. We'll get you the money. So it's just Trump and Vance have the unenviable task of they've been delivered a pile of horse manure. Now their job is to convince the American public that this is chocolate mousse and it tastes great. Less filling, tastes great, but they're trying. Trump and Vance are trying to sell. They're selling a lie. None of it's true.